Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Collider Games podcast. My name's Dennis Den. I'm here with...
What's up, guys? Your boy, Dorian.
And we also got a very special guest today. We've got the super popular online personality, Craig Thompson, a.k.a. MiniLadd. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. How you guys doing?
Doing good, man.
Doing great. So... You're here in LA. You're living currently in Portland?
In Portland, yeah, up north. I escaped to the Pacific Northwest.
And you're currently on tour right now.
I am, yeah, which is crazy.
Midway through there?
Midway through it, so we just finished leg 3. We have 7 legs altogether, so 27 dates altogether, finished 12, so... It's been fun. It's been crazy. I mean, I'm just used to sitting on my desk playing video games all day. So, now living in a coffin of a bunk bed, whilst traveling down God knows where, it's a whole different life.
Yeah, because I mean, yours too. Your YouTube channel has like millions of subscribers. You've got a very popular Twitch channel. You're online a lot. How is it different now? Like you're going out there and like meeting all the kind of the fans in person.
Yeah, it's a whole different ball game because like for me. Whenever it's the same kind of thing with you guys. When you see the amount of viewers that kind of come in, it's a number. It's hard to kind of calibrate that number into physical people. So, say for example, a video gets 1,000 views. To a lot of people, it's like it did okay. It's all right. And then you see 1,000 people in the audience, and they're all screaming. It's insane. It's ridiculous. It's hard to comprehend. Like you see. Some streamers nowadays pulling, 40, 50, 60,000 viewers concurrent. I'm like, that's literally that's stadium level.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's hard to hard to
Yeah. And then you have a show this Friday.
I do.
Here in LA, Los Angeles.
Playing the Novo, yeah. I'm excited.
Nice. And then you said that one fills about over 1,000 people.
That one just over 1,000, yeah.
So, and you said you originally lived here for a little while before you moved.
Yeah, so from 2015 to 2019, or beginning of this year, I guess you could say. I lived just in different spots in and around LA. I love this place. But for me, I'm also a firm believer in sort of separating work from play. So, I work hard whenever I'm in work mode, but I also need that kind of separation. And in LA, as much as I love this place, it's also a concrete jungle. Yeah, it's a lot. It's hard to kind of separate yourself. So I kind of escaped up to the Pacific Northwest, got myself some fields to stare at and some trees and some shit like that. So it's fun. I mean, for me, a plane nowadays is just like an oversized bus. So if I'm able to just fly the hour and a half down to LA, if someone's like, "Oh, do you want to come out tonight?" I'm like, "All right, give me like 4 hours and I got you." That kind of shit. So it's fun to have that divide.
Nice. Yeah, so you can kind of separate, relax out, and not think about and deal with work. Does that actually help with your creativity in terms of what types of videos you want to do and that stuff? Yeah,
because I mean, in LA, you're so restricted on space. So like, whenever the Elon Musk flamethrower came out, it's like, oh, that'll be cool to get, but I got nowhere to shoot it. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get arrested. Well, out there, I have a bit more space to experiment with my content. Also, I feel like you're better. I feel like it's just better, period, to have a clear head. Because when you make decisions, when you're all jumbled up with everything else going on in life, it's not proper. You're not fully there. You're not fully with it. But being able to kind of clear your head, clear your mind space, you can kind of push forward and make more adjust decisions.
Okay. And in this 27-city tour that you're doing, that you're kind of halfway through now, kind of how did that come about, and like why did you decide to do it? Because it is a daunting task.
Oh yeah, I mean everyone's like, oh, you just do like a five show tour or whatever. A lot of YouTubers do like a 5 to 7 show tour, and everyone kept telling me to do that. But if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna go balls deep. Yeah, that's how I think of it. The idea of it kind of came around that. A quote that I live by is I want 1 million stories to tell my grandkids. So if I'm able to be like that cool uncle when I'm like 50, 60 years old, saying like, yeah, I went on a comedy tour around America. It's like, that's dope. Uncle Craig or whatever the hell. That's kind of how I imagine it. I wanted to kind of broaden the gap between stand-up and gaming, fan interaction. I wanted to try and make the show where it wasn't just stand-up. It's not just playing games on stage. It's kind of like this amalgamation kind of. I don't even know how to describe it. Like, everyone's like, oh, so what do you do? I'm like, I don't really know. Like, I get on stage and kind of wing it. I have 8 bullet points that I go through for the hour and a half show, and everything in the middle of that's all improv. So it's the same kind of structure, but it's a different show every night.
Cool. And then let's kind of go even further back. How did you get into making videos, especially with the video game focus? Was it something like you sought out, okay, I'm going to become very popular at this, or was it just something you just wanted to do and then became popular?
It was, I feel like for people who started way back in the day, there was no like internet celebrity, there's no Instagram models, there's no TikTok, there's no whatever. So whenever people did it back in the day, we had the goal of just like, let's just see how far this goes. For me, when I started in 2011, I'm 24 now, I started when I was 16. I was just bored during high school. I feel like when you're in high school, especially on summer vacation, like you have 2 months to do nothing. After about 3 weeks, you're like, I'm kind of tired of this shit. So I gave myself a goal. I said to myself, during the summer, I'll try and hit 100 subscribers. And I got to like 92, 93, something like that. But after you do something for 3 or 4 months, your brain kind of starts to kick into gear like, oh, if I do this thing happens. And if I bring that and put it there, that happens. And all of a sudden, my creative brain just went for it. So that's why a lot of my videos, even though they're gameplay, I try and turn them into kind of like mini movies to a certain degree. So whether it's, sound effects, color grading, letterbox lines, cheesy kind of like things where it's very basic when it comes to TV and movies. It's something that's never really been seen in gaming. So the people that I play with, we all kind of had our own little spin on how we edit our content. So that's kind of how I got started. Did I expect it to grow to the size it was? Of course not. I mean, I thought if I had 100 subscribers, I'm done. That'll be cool. And I overshot that a bit.
Yes, quite a bit.
What was the sorry? Nick,
No, go ahead.
What was the moment like in this whole process where you were like, oh wait, this can be my career. This is something I can do like as a living. What was that like? When was that moment?
So 2013, I went to college for music production.
Okay.
My original plan was to make cheesy commercials or cheesy jingles for commercials. But I went there for 2 weeks. I was like, okay, GTA 5's just coming out. I know how much content potential there is in GTA 5. So I told my professor, give me a year. Okay, I'll take my gap year at the start. If it doesn't work out, I'll come back. And he's like, yeah, okay, sure, just do whatever you want. Obviously YouTube 2013, it's not the size of what it is now. So he's like, I don't really get it, but you do you, random kid. So I went back, and then GTA 5 was 100% the catalyst that blew me up to, I guess, where I am today. Me and the guys who I play with GTA 5, it's very, even though it's one massive open world map, it's very linear in the sense of you do this story, then this, then this, and this, and then end. But kind of what me and my bunch of friends did was we took GTA and we tried to find a bunch of mini games that you can play with your friends in and around it. So, for example, there's a garden maze that we turned into kind of like a murder mystery kind of thing where you turn off the HUD and one person's it. We had like tank rodeo where one person's in the middle spinning the barrel and you have to try and stand on for 5 seconds. Like, little things that aren't in the game, but something you can do with your friends. And then all of a sudden from there, people are like, oh, I want to see what they come up with next. So the videos go from like, 10,000 to 100,000 to 1 million views a video. And it went for it.
What was the one video that you think like after the success of that video, you were like, okay, this is it?
It's funny because most people just have like that video catalyst. I didn't.
You didn't? You just were more of a progressive rise?
Yeah, exactly. It was more of just like an exponential where it took like 3 or 4 years to just slowly simmer up to a point, and then it just doubled and tripled and just went for it. The normal route is just to have like, I uploaded this video and everything kind of went wild, but I had to say GTA just as a whole and, the years of making content just edged the way up.
Yeah, I do think like some people who like watch a lot of people on YouTube and want to pursue that route don't realize the amount of work that's involved.
Oh yeah,
in producing all these videos and the discipline you have to have in order to become more popular and to actually make it a living. A lot of people think, oh, I'm just gonna turn on a camera, press record, and then I'm gonna upload it, and then suddenly everybody knows who the hell I am.
Because, the recording part it's for like 5% of the entire production process. For me, if I record 20 minutes of a mini golf game, it might take 4, 5, 6, 7 hours just to edit that one video, just with the amount of effects and detailing and making sure the structure is right, making sure the story is right. So it's very hard for someone just to say, oh, I'm going to jump into this, make a bunch of money. Because, if your head's already in the mindset like I'm here to make a bunch of money,
you're out of it.
Yeah, it's exactly. It ain't gonna work out for you because whenever goings get tough, all of a sudden you're thinking to yourself, "Whoa, I only made $5. Where's my millions of dollars?" It's like it don't work like that.
And speaking of that, like so, just about over like I guess a year ago, you decided to spin off and do your like a personal channel as well as doing a video game channel. Can you talk about just trying to balance that and also like creating content without it being too much of an overload on you?
For sure, yeah. I kind of wanted to split gaming on one channel because the gaming stuff, it's been really big for a long time now. But I also wanted people to get to know me on a personal level because there's one thing saying like, oh, this is a MiniLadd video where I'm doing dumb shit in a video game, or you got the Craig Thompson stuff where it's more just me on a personal level talking to my fans, saying about what's going on with my life, or for example, doing dumb shit like I made a Chick-fil-A pizza last week, or things like that where I couldn't upload that on my MiniLadd channel just because the metadata and how algorithms work. It would just completely ruin everything. So I just split down the middle, and I just treat both like my children.
Okay. And speaking of that, you actually one of your more recent uploads was a video of you for the Pioneer Award. Can you talk about just that whole thing and specifically the Cameron Boyce Pioneer Award? Can you talk about just receiving that and tell our followers like what the Thirst Project is and all that?
Definitely.
I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah. So the Thirst Project, a charity organization that I got started with a few years ago. They're a charity that raises money for water wells out in third world countries because 10 years ago, whenever the Thirst Project was formed, there were still 1.1 billion people in the world without clean, fresh drinking water. And I just think that's just, from a morality perspective, that's just wrong. Because, you're drinking right now, you get a bottle of water as I came in, it's such an easy thing for us to live with nowadays. But the fact that there's still, 10 years ago, there was 1/7 of the world that didn't have access to that blows my mind. So nowadays, within the last 10 years, we've managed to get down to 600 million people without clean, fresh drinking water. So this is something within the last 10 years, we've already managed to nearly half.
Oh, shit.
So it's something that we can 100% fix in our lifetimes. And that's, I'm like, okay, there's an end goal there. I want to try and see the end of this. I want to try and see how this all works out. So I got my YouTube followers, got my Twitch followers to come through. And just over a few weekends, just trying to raise as much money as we can. And last year, we raised a total of $150,000 for water wells out in different parts of Africa. Wow. And I told people that, hey, if you give me money, I'll actually show you. I'll go to Africa and I'll show you exactly what your wells or what your money is going into. Because I feel like with a lot of charities, it's like, give us your money and you just hope it gets somewhere. But with me, I was like, hey, this $5 you gave went into exactly this well, and it's helping this beautiful person right here. That's kind of what I wanted to do. And then with that, they decided to give me the Pioneering Spirit Award, which is the person who went out and sort of raised the most notoriety, raised the most amount of money. And the reason they called it the Cameron Boyce Pioneering Spirit Award is because he's the one who got it last year. And he's a younger Disney star who passed away in July. So it was more of like a credit to him because he was a massive advocate for the Thirst Project and decided to name it after him, which the fact that I got the first one of that is extremely humbling. And I'm just really proud to be a part of this organization. For me, just being able to give back, it's always been something that's been drilled into my head as a young age. Like, hey, I want to help out. From living in Singapore, my mom used to take me to over to Indonesia where we used to go to this one orphanage and try and give food. We used to try and give toys, spend like a day or two with them and just enjoy it. So ever since then, it's been drilled into my head like, hey, there's some bad shit going on out there too. Businesses and just, your personal life and business can get so caught up in your head that you kind of forget about the bigger picture. And then with that, they decided to put me on the board of directors about 2 months ago. And the reason I took it and the reason why I wanted to do it is A, to bring more notoriety on the internet, and B, what the board of directors do is they take they donate money, but the money goes towards like flights, accommodation, food whenever you're out there. So all that expenditure is covered. So whenever people donate their money, every single cent is actually going towards helping people.
Man, I gotta say, like while I was watching the videos and while I was watching all that, I was like, dude, this is pretty like goddamn impressive. But then you just sitting here and telling us that you're 24, like we're the same age, and you're over here like killing it like that. It was like it's not only inspiring, but it's like yes, we can be doing more with our platform. So I just want to say thank you for that. And thank you for killing the game like that.
I appreciate that. Hell yeah,
that's dope, man.
Yeah, and people can check out thirstproject.org for more information.
You can indeed. Hell yeah.
Nice. All right.
One last question, because I see you have a whole series about dank Reddit memes and Reddit stuff like that. What is your favorite? All right, what is your favorite subreddit? And then if you had to refer 5 people to or if you had to refer 5 other subreddits, what would those be? Because I'm a fan of Reddit, but I'm like I need to get more into it.
As far as gaming goes, I have to give a shout out to Game Physics.
Okay.
So Game Physics is a website where it shows how games can break and glitch and freak out in hilarious ways.
Oh yeah, I saw the video of you reacting to a bunch of glitches and.
So that's Game Physics. Gotta give a shout out there. r/dank memes is on top of trying to bring. I feel like you can tell what memes are going to become more mainstream just by what's been said on there. What else could we do? Entitled Parents is always a fun one because it kind of brings you back down to earth. r/no-sleep is a fun one, especially in and around Halloween time. There's a bunch of just horror stories, whether they're real, whether they're fake. It's just really well-written horror stories. So, if the cliche shit happens, if you're around a campfire in the woods, r/no-sleep's a place to go. And then gotta give a shout out to r/MiniLadd. I gotta give a shout out to my own community out there, keeping it strong. So. That's my 5.
All right, bet. All right, Dennis. That's all I had.
Yeah, cool.
Hell yeah.
All right, let's get into some video game news
All right,
here.
Sure, hell yeah.
The biggest thing that came out this week, no big surprises with this one, but the Sony PS5.
Yeah, I know.
They've announced it. Okay, it is coming out holiday of next season. It's officially going to be the PS5. No big change from PS4. Some details about the specs of the console, but nothing like earth-shattering or anything like that. I mean, what was your take on hearing the news?
I mean, if it was called anything else than PS5, I feel like they're just pulling an Apple and they're just pulling random numbers out of their ass.
Just to do it.
7, 8, 10, and then X. And you're like, what the fuck is 9? Like, I feel like as far as the specs goes, it's exactly what's expected. It's like you said, it's not crazy earth-shattering. It's now with obviously ray tracing being a massive thing, with the 2080 Ti's coming out. Like it's expected that's going to be, especially for fall of next year. Like, I would say even by the end of next year, there's going to be something else coming out, whether it's a CPU improvement or a GPU improvement, that it's going to make the PS5 and Xbox, whatever the hell, even just a little bit more substandard. I think that as of right now, it's cool to see that PS5 will be not on par, but really, really close to par with PC. But it's also coming out in a year and a half's time.
Yeah.
So in a year and a half's time, there's going to be more PC stuff coming along. All of a sudden, it's going to put it to shame.
Ooh, I didn't even think about that. One thing I did notice, which I'm a big fan of, is you can delete or uninstall the multiplayer mode of different games if they had them on there. And I'm a big fan of that because your boy doesn't have any friends. So
yeah, shout out no friends.
So I save space, save time.
Well, it's backwards compatible, which is good because that was one thing. Obviously, the PS4 won this generation of consoles, but one knock on it was that it didn't have that backwards compatibility like the Xbox did.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what Xbox kind of comes away with this because, if we had to do a battle of the consoles or whatever, in my opinion, Xbox 360 was better than PS3, but PS4 is better than Xbox One. So to try and bring back that gamer fan base, because Xbox One, it's made for you can watch TV and stuff. It's like, yeah, we all have cable boxes, or nowadays we all have Netflix and Hulu and everything to do that with. So it's going to be interesting to see what Xbox pulls out of the bag, because now that no one's really watching cable anymore, and that's what a lot of that's kind of what was formed. It was formed around is this entertainment box. No one asked for that. Okay, Xbox is a gaming console. So if you really want to try and bring it back, you need to show PS5 what's up.
Yeah, I think it's going to come down. I think we talk about this a lot on the podcast. It's really going to come down to exclusive games now.
Yeah,
I think Microsoft was not anticipating. Because they already had Halo and Gears, but they didn't think we need more than just that. And where PlayStation had so many exclusives that you're talking about Spider-Man, you're talking about God of War. Now next year, Last of Us Part 2. You have Uncharted. There's so many that the hardcore gamers are like, oh well, there's more games that I want to play on the PlayStation. I mean. I just ordered my first PS4 today.
There you go.
I own an Xbox One. I'll be honest with you. I'm more of an Xbox person. I like the controller more. I kind of like the interface more. But when it comes to exclusive games, I'm a big fan of Halo. But it's lacking in that department compared to the PlayStation. I want to play God of War. I bought this. I want to play Death Stranding that's coming out soon. Uncharted, all that stuff.
It's interesting because Xbox keeps pushing Xbox Game Pass. I'm like, Xbox Game Pass is cool if there's games I want to play on it. And when you like, there's no point in saying like we have 1 million games you can play. It's like, well, I don't want to play any of them.
Yeah, like so for me, like me and Dennis are like the complete opposite. He's just getting a PS4. I just like joined Team Xbox about a few months ago. Loving it so far, but that I'm able to. The Game Pass is I've only got about like 10 or 15 of like that whole library. I'm like, there's not really like I agree with your point. There's not like that game I actually want to dive into. There's only like for example Gears 5 that like for them to put like if they can put more exclusive games like that on Game Pass, then I'll stay a member. But besides that, like the Tomb Raider franchise, the Halo games are on there. Like I'm downloading those as well. But there haven't been like I haven't seen like a roster of that size like on all those games. So I'm like, all right, well. I gotta give a shout out to one of my favorite games of all time, which is Journey for PlayStation. I'm a massive fan of that. I've played through that 1 million different times. Obviously, it's a 2-hour game, same kind of game every single time, but the way it's structured is fantastic. So, big props to PlayStation for that one.
What do you think about the whole 8K thing? They're like, okay, the PS5 is capable of 8K, even though I don't think many people are going to be playing it on 8K.
Oh, hell no. I mean, unless they're not planning on making a console for the next 5 or so years. But my thing is everyone's like, oh, 4K monitors, 4K this, 4K that. But for me being a content creator, 4K is 4 times bigger than 1080p.
Yeah.
That means 4 times bigger file sizes. So for me, my editor lives over in the UK. So I took all my files and sent it over to him, and we're not gonna spend 4 times as long, just send the content, rendered it, upload it when no one's gonna watch 4K.
And then when they're watching it on here. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And 70% of YouTube users watch it on mobile. Yeah. So if that only goes up to 720p, 1080p, we're not going to spend the extra 4 times to go to 4K. And they're saying like, oh, it's going to go to 8K. I'm like, who the hell can afford an 8K TV?
Like who? Yeah, who's
I don't even have a 4K TV.
Yeah. Who's trying to? I don't know, man. Like I barely just got a 4K TV, and that's just because there was a deal. But besides that, like nobody's trying to spend money on a fucking 8K. Like, bro. Yeah. Like unless you're like Bill Gates or something.
Right.
Like unless you have money to like actually.
Unless you're just like hard chilling.
Then there's no content for it, right? There's no I mean, 4K now has content, but it's still not a ton, right?
No.
Most of the library of stuff is still HD quality.
I think it's just it's just a way of just showing off what they can do. Yeah. It's not whether people use it or not. It's just a flex. It's 100% a flex.
Maybe do a bundle deal. Like, here's a 8K TV with your PS5.
Yeah.
I doubt they do.
Xbox going to come out and say, yeah, we're doing like 16K. Just because.
Got you, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we're preparing for the future. 100K. What's up?
What's up, man? What's up, man? Talking shit? We got you, fam.
To me, I think the spec wars are over. You know what I mean? Like, you just can't win on specs. It doesn't matter.
Especially with console.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I said before, like what's in the consoles right now is expected.
Yeah.
It's as good as what it can be right now, but these consoles are going to be around for 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah. And also just there's only so much, graphically like, okay, this game on the like when they do comparisons, right? Like Red Dead Redemption 2. They had the regular PS4 version, the regular Xbox One version, the PS4 Pro version, the Xbox One X. And yes, you do see a difference in the graphic quality, but it's not like such a difference that you're like, oh my God, I got to go run out and get the highest end system possible.
Well, in GTA, I bought 3 different times.
Did you?
Yeah, because I mean, like, I had an Xbox, I had it on PlayStation, and then I had to wait to try and get it on PC. So I had to buy it 3 different times just because, like, if I was making content on it, and then obviously multiplayer didn't come out for like 3 or 4 months till after release. So you're just sitting there with a game. You're like, oh, cool, I'm already done single player, and I have to wait again to do multiplayer, and then you're buying shark cards on that, and then you have to try and buy it again on PC. It's like, I love Rockstar. I'm a massive fan of them, but they're going to spend 5 or 6 years in a game. You would think they would have it just kind of bundled, ready to go. Off the bat, but the fact that you have to wait months for it, and then they're gonna tell you to buy another $60 game on top of that just to play on PC.
Yeah, Red Dead Redemption 2 we talked about last week coming out on PC.
Yeah.
What's interesting because I don't know if you bought any Microsoft games, but some of those games are like you buy once and you can play on both systems. Basically PC and on Xbox.
Oh,
as well.
Yeah, because the integration they have now with the PC, like Microsoft Store or whatever.
Yeah. So you can buy something like
Sea of Thieves is a good example. That was like one of the first ones.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's kind of the future for at least for Microsoft. It's like, okay, you buy this, so you have more incentive to purchase the game.
Right.
Let's say you have both. You have Xbox and you have PlayStation. And then, but the Xbox One also you can play on PC as well, and you'd be kind of more inclined to do that.
I'm not I don't play the game at all, but I have to give massive credit for Fortnite. The reason being is before it was either you stick with your Xbox or you stick with your PlayStation. Whenever I was at school, it was like everyone had an Xbox, so everyone got an Xbox. They had those kids who had a PlayStation, so all that group of kids went with PlayStation. But with Fortnite, you could play games on mobile with people who are on PC, same squad member as Xbox and PlayStation. The game was so big that it forced. Remember the whole PlayStation trying to pull out of the whole thing and then got shit on for it. Yeah, it's because the game was so big. It was the only game that I think is out there right now that could do something like that and try and bring games together.
Why don't you play Fortnite?
It got to the point where I played it at the start. It got to the point where whenever an 8-year-old kid can build like a 3-bed, 4-bath mansion in front of me in half a second, it's just overwhelming.
See, yeah, that's
why I stopped playing Call of Duty.
I don't play Fortnite at all, dude. I'm trying. It's just once you start I can aim when you get a gun, but once you start having to build shit, I'm out of there. But I am good at Apex, so I'm decent.
Oh, same because it's the same thing where it's like it's shooting. Yeah, you know? I'm good at positioning. I'm good at aiming. But the building mechanic, it's kind of like the same as Guitar Hero. You know, it just takes time to really get good at. And the people who are really good at it, it's kind of like an art form to watch nowadays. Like especially the Fortnite World Cup. I don't play it, but I can respect the hell out of people who do play it and who are really good at it because you can tell the amount of hours they put into that.
It's like an actual sport, like training.
Yeah, exactly.
Couldn't do it. What were you saying about Call of Duty?
No, that's why I stopped playing Call of Duty multiplayer. That's why I didn't buy Black Ops 4 because they had no single player. Because I actually enjoy the Call of Duty single player games, and then it only was multiplayer. I was like, well, I'm just gonna hop in there and then die. Yeah. I just go in there and then some 12-year-old just snipes me from afar and I'm dead, and then I respawn and then die. Like exactly. I'm decent at Halo, but like something like Call of Duty, I'm just not good enough.
Well, I mean, especially like back in the day, whenever you're doing like ranked matches on Halo 3, like everyone there, they're competitive, but they're still just playing for fun. You know, game battles just kind of got introduced, so people were taking kind of a little bit more seriously. But nowadays, especially now that parents can see how much money a lot of these people are making, like before it was, you know, get off your console and go outside. But now it's like, get on your PC, you need to train, kid. Like it's a whole different ball game where now these kids are kind of being bred by their parents to be video game stars. Like it's insane.
I wish I would have caught that wave before now. Like, wish we were kids when I'd be like,
my
hey,
God. I'm so far removed from that. My parents would never. They still don't. If you told them right now that the winner of the Fortnite World Cup won $3 million, it would blow their mind.
Oh yeah, exactly.
They would just. They wouldn't even believe it.
Well, it's something crazy. Like the whole Fortnite World Cup being in New York actually they didn't give New York, but it helped raise like $12 million to give back to the city of New York, which is insane, or something crazy like that. Don't quote me on that. It's something crazy like that.
In terms of just the business that was involved.
Yeah, as far as like the business, as far as holding it at that massive venue, hotels,
food, restaurants.
Exactly.
I guess when I realized when like Fortnite was like, I guess big, like when my realization when last E3 when they had like a Fortnite thing at the LA stadium or at that soccer stadium, I was like
the Pro-Am.
The Pro-Am. I was like, because I went and attended, I like covered. I was like, Jesus Christ, this is like an actual event. This is a massive event. I was like, okay, Fortnite, I see you. Like, I'm not good at it, but I respect it.
You can respect it, exactly.
Respect it.
And even things like a lot of people will give Fortnite shit for, you know, schools picking up on, oh, you can do Fortnite dances in school and things like that. But at the same time, it's like, it's entertaining kids. It's bringing families closer together. I think even though we don't play it, there's a massive respect there for it.
Yeah.
And especially with bringing, especially Twitch and gaming content into the mainstream. Like, people give Ninja shit, but at the same time, he's one of the only actual celebrities right now. Because regardless of his Twitch stream not getting as much numbers as what he used to, he is Ninja now. As far as the media goes, when you ask, oh, video games, like, oh, the Ninja guy. Yeah, like, it's always Ninja and PewDiePie.
He's on a fucking TV reality show. Like, like, bro, like, come on now. It's ridiculous.
He's now like sponsored by Adidas, or I say Adidas, but he has sponsored everywhere. He's going to the NFL All-Stars with like a Louis Vuitton sponsored suit. I'm like, bruh, like, you're a Twitch streamer. Like, it's insane.
Hopefully he's just paving the way for others
it's
like,
amazing.
To make moves. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I have to give, you know, people give him shit, but I have to give him massive credit for paving ways.
Okay. Another game phenomenon that I personally never got into, but I know you're into Minecraft.
Yeah.
Minecraft. Like how? Like I think just because I'm an older person, what is it about Minecraft that attracts so many people?
It's the infinite possibilities. It's the fact that there's so many different kinds of blocks now where it's kind of the same way. It's the same thing as Lego.
Yeah.
Where you can go on there, there's multiplayer. It's kind of like, imagine if, how do I describe it? It's imagine if Lego was online and Lego had a multiplayer and it was just an open world sandbox game.
Oh shit!
Imagine,
is that Minecraft?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, now you're pitching me Minecraft. I might have to jump on.
No, exactly. It's like, I think what they're doing is fantastic. There's so many different blocks out there. People are so smart with how they're doing it. If you ever get a second, watch redstone wiring videos. The stuff that people can make in that game right now is ridiculous. And there's also like survival aspects, different kinds of monsters. It's a fantastic survival game. I know it gets shit for being like, all kids play it, but if you actually go back and sit down and really just soak it in, and once you start to understand the fundamentals of it, you get lost in it for hours and hours at a time.
Okay, like I now you're mentioning it, like I think I watched like a YouTuber like a few years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, but like he would do like a Minecraft type Hunger Games style thing. I didn't know if it was online or it's just like him playing it, but it was like a Hunger Games, like him like trying to defeat
it's all online.
Yeah, so that's dope. That's dope.
Yeah, and the cool thing is like they've given a lot of coding access to modders, and they're allowing modders to just fuck around and do what they want, which is fantastic. Because a lot of the games are like, no, we're not going to give you the code, we're not going to give you the API, we're not going to do anything to let you have access to all this. But Minecraft's just like, here's everything you need, just batter away and just have fun with it. So with the Hunger Games mod, there's a bunch of different kinds of mod. There's even like Fortnite mods you can install now. Like, it's ridiculous. It really is.
Goodness, we got to get on the Minecraft wave, fam.
Yeah. I know a lot of people were concerned when Microsoft purchased Minecraft, but I think it's still cross-platform. You can play it on your Xbox, your PlayStation, on your phone, and whatnot. Is it on Nintendo Switch?
It should. I'd be surprised if it's not.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
And just being able to cross-play and all that stuff and keep it open, it's just kind of a... And I think they purchased it so they can get kind of the younger audience associated
Same as Fortnite,
with it.
it's inclusion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely something, Dorian over here is gonna.
It's on my list.
On your list.
On my list. I'll add it to the list. I got a backlog.
Well, you just got an Xbox and you just got PS4. Like, you guys need to work through exclusives first, and then
exactly.
and then end up there.
I started with Gears 5, and now I got to work my way back. But I'm loving Gears 5 so far, though. I'm having a blast.
I haven't had time to play.
Dude, I'm loving
I've heard
it.
amazing things though. We just thank God. Thank God.
It's sick, but I have nothing to compare to the other games because I haven't played them. But from just
I
playing
never played
Gears,
them either,
so I think you'll enjoy Gears 5. Man.
Okay.
I think you'll have a blast with it.
Hell yeah.
Other news, we've got Doom Eternal was delayed to 2020. It was supposed to come out in November, and then Bethesda released a thing basically saying that it needs more polish to the game. I played the demo at E3. I thought it was pretty polished, but then again, I was playing on... They had high-end PCs, so they made sure it looked great, felt great. So I don't know if maybe the console versions need more polish or if maybe they need to polish up other levels than the ones I played. So
It's also Bethesda.
yeah. I think they may have learned their lesson from Fallout 76, which in theory was an awesome-sounding game. And then the execution wasn't there, and they basically released it a year early.
You're right.
And so maybe they've learned something from
Let's
that.
just take our time with this. Because, I mean, Skyrim, one of my favorite games of all time, but Skyrim is buggy, but it's buggy and it works. Like, for example, like whenever you get on a horse and you try and go up a mountain, you can just vertically go up the mountain in a horse. Things like that where they know it's a bug, but they keep it in there. Well, also, I feel like with Fallout 76, there was bugs, but they were game-breaking bugs to the point where it ruined everything.
Yeah.
As long as it doesn't ruin everything, as long as it's kind of like just fun bugs, I guess you could say. I don't know how to describe it. But yeah, Fallout 76, it's sad because Bethesda had such like a high rating. It's same as like if Rockstar released a bad game. It had such a high rating, and then to see them actually kind of bring them back is kind of like human to a certain degree. It's like, oh, they can make a bad game. It's sad to see. So I think you're right in the sense of they're just taking their time with this to make sure, because they need to get their reputation back.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why we went to the Bethesda press conference this past E3. It was a lot of like, look, Fallout 76, we need to repair a bunch of stuff. And all that stuff was like for free, right? They're
Right.
gonna give you this new DLC and it's gonna be free. They're gonna fix this thing, it's gonna be free because they're like, a lot of people are more skeptical now of what they're doing. So I
Right.
think this is probably just falls in line. They're like, look, we got to make sure this game is top notch when it comes out.
All eyes are on them.
I mean, yeah, and it wasn't really because like I think we were talking about it off camera. Like I'm not a fan of it, or it wasn't on my radar. But the stuff I did see at E3, it looked cool. But I'm glad they're taking their time because I don't think if they do have a massive fan base, they gotta hit it right with them because I don't think there's like a larger general audience that's like trying to say, oh, I want to play, I need to get this Doom Eternal game. So if they got to market it, they got to make sure that they're getting it right for their diehard fans or they're going to have another buzz. So I appreciate them taking their time on this.
Agreed.
And it makes it so they don't have to, the developers don't have to like rush or try to get overworked and they have time to actually enjoy life and still work at the same time.
Also, I don't know, it's kind of nice to see some bigger games drop not in the holiday season.
Yeah, that's true too.
Because like last year, it's like I'm like already 13 hours into Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and then Red Dead Redemption 2 drops 2 weeks later, and it's like now I gotta hop over here, and I played that. That's an 80-hour game, and then so it's like I don't know when too many big games come out at the same time, I get a little.
There's too much of a dry spell, and then you just get overrun by everything to the point where you kind of you 10 games come out, you choose one, and you kind of throw the rest to the back burner. So all of a sudden, when you're like, oh, I have nothing to play, you're like, I could go play the game that came out last November, but I'll just go do something else.
Yeah,
you kind of forget about it.
So I'm glad to see a bigger title drop a little bit later. We got some more news about the Marvel's Avengers game. Are you excited for that game?
I haven't. It's weird. Like I bought Spider-Man and I wanted to go sit down and play it. And I never got around to it, but I've heard so many good things. I've watched
Spider-Man.
So no. So my thing is I just watch Twitch streams on it.
Oh, okay.
Because especially just on tour.
You just want to see the story or whatever?
Yeah, just kind of like get a feel for it. That's kind of what a lot of people do now is they go to YouTube, they go to Twitch whenever they can't like afford a game or they don't have time for a game. They'll just sit down, they're doing their work, but they'll just have it on in the background just kind of see how it is. Like one of my favorite games I'd never played was Beyond Two Souls. I watched so many playthroughs of that. Same kind of thing where I don't really have time to play it, but I'll watch people play it. So as far as Marvel Avengers, they need to nail it. It's actually like it's the end of the event of the Avengers kind of universe to a certain degree. They kind of cut it close. So this is kind of like, is this the cherry on top? We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely, when they premiered at E3, had some sort of backlash to the graphics, which, if you see the latest videos, they've improved actually quite a bit.
Thank God, because it was a bit iffy.
Yeah, I saw like, because in this one video, they show a bunch of the characters, their different costumes, and like some of their finishing moves. And like you'd see like Black Widow's face actually looked a lot better.
And I think the initial reaction from the E3 was also just backlash because they didn't look like the movie characters. Because I think before that it made it sound like it was going to kind of be look like them. So
too much money.
I think it was just the initial shock of like, oh, that doesn't look like Robert Downey Jr. or any of them.
Because that was the one that was in like the Golden Gate Bridge, right?
Yeah.
Or something in and around there. Yeah.
So now I think people have had time like, all right, they're not going to look like the actual people, and they're improving the graphics. But the New York Comic-Con footage they showed, and with the addition of Kamala Khan,
Miss Marvel.
Miss
Marvel.
So when they showed her footage, I was like, all right, her specifically, I was like, she looks great. Like that was what really sold me over the top because I was already all in for this game. But her addition and her gameplay looks smooth as hell, and she has a bunch of powers, especially around like elasticity and like her growing and stuff like that. So I was a little bit worried, but once I actually saw it, I was like, okay. They got it. Making her a playable character, adding her into this mix, I'm down for it. So I thought that was
she's not just an addition like a just player multiplayer. She's actually part of the campaign.
The story.
And the story.
And I think that's smart too because it's like they just announced at D23 that she's having a show or like having her own live action show. So to like start weaving in those letting fans know who she is, giving her a little general background beforehand. I think that's smart little Easter egg, little tie into the bigger universe.
And they talked about, I think the initial campaign, if you play it all the way straight through, is about 12, 13 hours. And then they said if you want to do side missions on, all the side missions, it's like 30 hours. But they're going to have DLC with the campaign and story mode through the next several years.
Oh, so they're going for long haul.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
good.
They plan on adding DLCs, adding more characters than the 6 that you get to see, and Kamala Khan or Miss Marvel. So I'm excited to see about that because they said don't worry, Hawkeye's coming, like all of them coming down the line, which is pretty dope.
The one thing that worries me, and I personally love the game, but it's a game. It's a perfect example of a game that needs to be nailed off the start. Is Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves, I think, looks amazing. It plays amazing, but it got to the point where there was just nothing left to do. And even though the developers like, yeah, we have years of content to come, we have this island and the Kraken's coming along, for a lot of people it was just too little too late. So I think with Avengers it's cool to see that they have a game plan, but they need to nail it off the start first, otherwise the next 2 years of content is just gonna be worthless.
What's interesting is because a lot of with Fallout 76 they haven't released everything yet. I'm hoping that it fixes a lot of the problems from before, but obviously the damage has been done. It's a year later. You're talking about Sea of Thieves as well. Somehow Destiny was able to come back from that. Like No
Man's Sky too. Yeah. Same thing.
Like it's interesting to see like which games can do that, and some where like once the ship has sailed, there's no coming back from.
You think Fallout 76 is on that ship?
I think so. To the most extent, I think they can help redeem their image by releasing stuff that fix the game, but there's still this impression. I mean, I'll be honest with you, the Fallout 76 came out, I played a little bit of it, and because it wasn't just bug problems. It was like fundamentally the game structure was not like properly built out. That now they're fixing it. I think I'll go back and play it, but you still have that in your mind. So I just don't think that's going to be, I think, in the fans' minds.
Well, like Rainbow Six Siege, for example. I mean, whenever that game first came out, I think it was sitting like 5 million players, something like that. But as time was went on, if you look at the figures, like the actual concurrent player base is growing month by month, just as more DLC is coming out. It's a good point that I didn't even think of, but there is a redemption factor, but I guess it's all down to how they redeem it and how long they wait. Because I think there's a threshold. I think after a while, you're just like, it's too little too late. This game's already come out. You know, it's even the time of launch. Like, if it is an end-of-year Christmas holiday game, and if it's not going to work, there's already a million other games already playing. Right. So by the time the DLC comes out in Easter time, no one cares. So yeah, it's all about doing it right.
Yeah. Speaking of Avengers, me and Dorian tomorrow are going to check out the Avengers Damage Control VR. I don't know if you saw that, but
no.
Have you been to the Void VR yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay,
no.
It's like one of those ones in the malls that they have a Star Wars one.
Okay.
And they have like they had a Wreck-It Ralph one. What else did they? Ghostbusters one.
Yeah. Basically,
it's a VR experience you put on. It's like 4 people at a time. You put on like a backpack and then the VR headset. It's more like an experience, like a theme park-like experience. It's about 10, 15 minutes long, but you work together. So they're releasing, it's not out yet, but they released a teaser trailer for Avengers Damage Control, and me and Dorian are going to go check it out tomorrow. So.
Yeah, I'm excited about that because I did the Ralph Breaks the Internet one because it's kind of, I'm not sure about the Avengers one, but they kind of tie it into the movie. Like even it might not necessarily be canon or whatever, but they try to include
kind of like an extension of it.
Yeah, an extension of it. So it's kind of similar to that. So I'm not sure what this Avengers Endgame one will be, but
it's Shuri builds some sort of. She works on some Iron Man suits.
Ooh.
So like the players are in these Iron Man like suits, but they have Wakandan technology in them.
Oh, that should actually be a thing. They should do that in the movies.
We'll see.
Why? That's smart.
So
it'd be interesting to see kind of like the direction they take. Because like for example, remember the Batman VR that came out for PlayStation, where there you're expecting to like be Batman, but kind of what ended up happening is you're more just like a crime scene detective.
Right, you're watching then point.
Yeah, and you kind of reverse back and you're scrubbing through where even though it's a Batman game, you're technically not Batman. If that makes sense, though.
Yeah. Speaking of VR, Iron Man VR on PSVR.
Excited about that.
Finally release date, February 2020.
Okay.
Yeah, Dorian got a chance to demo it.
Yeah, it wasn't they still had some bugs to fix, and they still had like a couple things they said that may or may not stay in the game. But what I got to test out, it seemed amazing. You like how you just said you didn't feel like Batman in that VR game. In this Iron Man game that they're coming out, VR Iron Man game, you feel like Tony Stark. You feel like you're flying around. Like they make it feel like you have to have your arms positioned like how he would. You genuinely feel like you're in the suit. So I'm so excited for that. I'm just nervous, or I'm scared on how they're gonna try to market this or like push this out, because it's you need a PSVR to do this, and not every like I don't have a PS personally. I don't have one, so it's like how are you gonna try to market?
No, we have one at the studio.
Oh, true. So like, but you got to market that as well as like you buy this PS4 or buy this PSVR, and then later on this year we also have a new system coming out. So it's like, hey, how much money do you want from my Sony? Like my wallet is only.
I do think if I read correctly, the PSVR is going to be compatible with the PS5.
Yeah, I heard about that as well. Thank God.
Yeah,
that would have been a shambles.
Yeah.
Like with the PSVR, like the games I've played on it are pretty good.
Yeah.
The system itself is a bit clunky, just compared to what we have now with Oculus Quest. It's just so easy to put on.
The Quest it confuses me how well it works for being so light.
Yes.
You know, and like without, I have every variation of like the HTC Vive at the house. I have every variation of Oculus just because I'm a big fan of VR. Mm-hmm. But then when the Quest came through, it's compared to every other headset, it's so light, and the fact that it works so well and at such a good price point, it's competition.
And I'm like, that's the one thing I'm worried about with this game is like you have to be standing in your room and like it's a cord connected to all this, but you're doing a lot of moving. Like when I was doing a lot of turn-based stuff, like I found myself like getting wrapped up in the cord. So that's like another thing I'm like worried about with this is like if they could port it to the Quest, that would be the perfect thing for the Quest. Like I don't know. I wish they would market it to outside of just the PSVR.
I think for Sony, they just want an exclusive for their own platform.
I know, but
that's what we were talking about earlier. Yeah,
like this is the game where if you like trying to market out to everybody, like not everybody's gonna have a PSVR, but the Oculus Quest is cheaper. You can actually use it without you can turn a lot without having to worry about getting caught up. That would be the best. The best headset
it's
for this game.
It's your entry level, because I mean, once you start going into like Vives and things like that, you're pushing 4 figures to try and get the headset itself. Then if you want to try and do wireless, you have to buy the $200-$300 extension. But as far as a PSVR, I feel like it's a good entryway. If you really enjoy VR and you have some really cool games coming out in the PSVR, it's going to open up the virtual reality market for years to come.
Yeah.
Hope so.
Well, I'm glad they are making it compatible with PS5. So that way, if you buy one now, or let's say you really want to play this Iron Man game, you buy one, it's not going to be obsolete.
You're not going to be screwed over. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. We talked about a ninja before, but it looks like he's joining Ryan Reynolds' comedy called Free Guy. I actually hadn't heard about this movie, but apparently Ryan Reynolds is playing an NPC character in a video game.
Oh, weird, okay.
Yeah, he like figures out that he is an NPC in a game, and I guess he wants to break free from being the NPC and be his own person.
It kind of reminds me of what do you call it? Detroit.
Detroit Becoming Human.
Yeah, where you're kind of like you're an NPC, but you're trying to like break through that kind of barrier. So I also heard with that there's Ninja, you got Jacksepticeye, and you've also got Pokimane.
I think Laserbeam as well.
And Laserbeam as well. All those 3 guys, which is kind of like an interesting 4 people. You got like an Australian, an Irishman, and 2 Americans. So as far as like getting different characters they can choose from, I think that's a pretty good cast. So it'll be interesting to see, because like, kind of the same thing as me going on tour. Like I'm kind of out of my field, out of my depth a little bit. And then with those guys, going from being streamers and being YouTubers to all of a sudden in a AAA movie with Ryan Reynolds, obviously they're going to get their training and whatever beforehand, but I wish them well. I really do. Honestly, I hope they nail it, because they're good. They're good people.
That's crazy. Like, yeah, just imagine you're chilling, playing video games. Oh wait, flash forward a year later, you're in a movie with Ryan Reynolds.
My boy Ryan,
so I'm gonna do red carpet premiere with my boy Ryan Reynolds. That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
that's awesome though.
All right, last thing before we get to Twitter questions, the kind of big news in the gaming world. I mean, it's not a game I play. Hearthstone. The whole Blizzard thing, basically this guy Blitzchung, that's his nickname. He wins a tournament. He gets interviewed, and during the interview, he puts on a mask in support of the Hong Kong protesters in China. And we're not really going to get into the whole political dynamics of the protests and China, but more along the lines of how this affects gaming, and not so much gaming, but also, gaming, but also just the kind of corporate culture here in the United States, because you have earlier what happened with the Houston Rockets, and now you have this where you basically have Blizzard banning Blitzchung for a year. He also will not receive his prize money, which I think is $10,000.
They closed down the Blizzard subreddit too.
Yeah. I think the Hearthstone one as well.
Oh yeah, that sounds right.
And then so it's just one of those things where now even U.S. senators are getting into the mix, and you're getting people from both sides of the aisle, Democrats and Republicans, kind of outraged at this kind of practice. Because basically what they're saying is you have another country basically, I don't know if the interfering is the right word or censoring, to an extent, but it's pressure through commerce.
Right. I mean, it is, it is censoring to a certain degree.
Yeah.
That's exactly the whole reason behind it. I think one thing that's funny is outside Blizzard headquarters, I don't know if it's like a Reinhardt or a World of Warcraft character, but they have a little plaque saying every voice matters.
Oh, shit.
Which is being spread all around the internet at the moment, just because I'm like, well,
Does it though?
As far as it's concerned, I'm not going to go too deep into it. I feel like everyone kind of has their own opinion on it. One thing I think is kind of a bitch move is doing this and then them closing down all their subreddits so people can't voice an opinion and people can't talk to those people at Blizzard and Hearthstone directly voicing their opinions.
Yeah, I didn't know about that. That's messed up.
So not only are they censoring him, taking away his prize money for, believing in something, but they're also going to shut down all the gates people can contact Blizzard. I think it's an interesting play. Without getting too one-sided, I think it's an interesting play.
Yeah, and then you have this kind of hashtag boycott Blizzard thing where now we don't know yet because it's too early, what kind of financial repercussions they're going to have on the other end, right?
Yeah.
Because they were worried about, pissing off a good, I think I was reading 12% of their market is in Asia. That marketplace versus here in the United States, people getting upset and actually actively, people claim they're going to quit playing Hearthstone and quit playing other Blizzard games. Now, we don't know long term how this is going to actually, because a lot of people say they're going to protest something.
Yeah.
And then the percentage that actually do it is variable.
It's like you have 12% that's in Asia, but then you also have all the Asian influence that's over in America, that's in Europe. So it's kind of like it's a worldwide thing, 100%. It's hard to kind of just say it's just 12% when it's pretty much everyone, and everyone has their own opinion, and people like that about 2019. People don't like that about 2019, but at the same time, like whenever a company messes up, like you're gonna know about it.
Yeah. And it's just one of those things where, I make fun of a lot of the kind of backlash and protest of gamers, like for certain, like what was that stupid thing with the Spider-Man suit, the one from the Tobey Maguire movies.
Oh, the Sam Raimi movies.
Yeah, like that whole thing is I find ridiculous, right? Where like something like this is an actual just cause in terms of if you believe that you don't want censorship in this type of world, then I can see a reason to do this.
Yeah, I mean, I think just period, it's gonna be interesting to see how this whole thing plays out, because you've also got you've also got the NBA doing the same kind of thing, where I think we're just gonna let this play out, see how Blizzard plays it out, see how the NBA plays it out, but I think this next week's gonna be very, very interesting.
And South Park made fun of the whole thing, and they got banned in China.
I'm surprised. How did they not get banned already?
Yeah.
I think only now. I'm like, shout out to South Park for sticking with them for so long.
Yeah. All right. That's kind of the end of the news, but we have some Twitter questions that we posted out there. What do we got?
All right. So from Khalil Anonymous, he asked.
Oh, hell yeah.
He asked him if he calls it mini golf or just golf. So do you call it mini golf or just golf?
Oh man, it's mini golf.
It's mini golf.
100%.
All right, why is that?
Mini golf. playing mini golf.
Yeah. I get it. Just clicked. I'm stupid. All right. T-Mill24 asks, he says, some people see the competitive gaming industry as a short-term fad. Others see it exploring into mainstream in the near future. Nobody knows quite what to expect. So obviously my question is as follows. Where do you see esports in 5 years? And then where do you see it in 10 years?
A lot more mainstream than what it is now. I think, with ESPN picking it up, even where, from where I live in Portland, there's a bunch of esports bars. There's so many people now, especially with the blow up of Fortnite, kind of touching on what we were saying earlier about how a lot of parents are pushing their kids to play more video games so they can be the next big thing. There's going to be so much more competition coming through. And then you've also got people like Drake and Scooter Braun, who are now co-owners of 100 Thieves. So you've got traditional celebrities coming through. You've got Cardi B investing in FaZe. So there's a lot of competition to be had. I think it's just a matter of now, if we're talking like an investment timeline, now is kind of like the funding phase where a bunch of companies are really putting their time and effort into it. It's only a matter of time before all that money comes to show, and all of a sudden that's the next big thing. If you think of the Overwatch League, before they just had the Blizzard arena, but now they're making an individual arena for every single team, where they're going to have to travel a lot more, but it's just another example of, hey, like, you got a game that has their own stadiums now.
That's crazy. Speaking of which, you mentioned parents kind of pushing their kids into playing video games, which is kind of unfathomable to me. But I think a lot has to do with the fact that now the people who are the parents are the ones who actually played video games. Because my parents never played video games.
Same.
So when I grew up, they were like, what the hell are you wasting your time with this stuff? But I mean, they said that about a lot of stuff that end up.
It's not what they wanted.
Well, now I end up utilizing for work. So
same as all of us. Hell yeah.
But now the kids that their parents did play video games,
right?
At least a good portion of them, so they understand it a little better. So all right, what do we got next?
We got Blade JTJ or GTR. He asked, do you think Cyberpunk should have a collector's edition with the female version figure for those people who want with both options or want to own one or both?
Well, I think one thing that's interesting about Cyberpunk is the fact that they're also saying that none of them are genders because they're robots. So I think they're going to have to try and play into that atmosphere. If they're going to, whether it's a collector's edition or whether they release something later on, we still have a little bit of time before release.
Right.
There's going to be collectibles no matter what. Whether it's a collector's edition on release, who really knows? Maybe they don't want to spoil too much. Because if you're going to have a game like that where it is kind of so left field, that maybe they don't want to ruin it. They don't want to give anything away.
Dennis?
Yeah, I just think that maybe they'll have maybe not another collector's edition, but maybe you can buy this statue separately from it.
On their website or something like that.
I want Johnny Silverhand statue.
Yeah.
There the one I want.
I want Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
6 foot in my house.
Just a Keanu
at
Reeves.
At all times.
There was another one, but it was mainly pertaining to what we just talked about with the Blizzard stuff, so I don't want to rehash that. And then
that's fine.
The last one from me personally was, what if you had to pick a game right now to be your game of the year, what would your game be?
Sekiro.
Sekiro, what is that?
It's a Souls game.
Okay.
The Shadow Dice Twice?
Yeah.
Okay.
I played through that twice just by myself, and it's very rare that nowadays, whenever I play a game, I always think, should I be recording it? Should I be streaming it? And they absolutely nailed that out of the park. I think it's just such a fantastic game. The story is amazing. It's a Souls game, so obviously it's a lot more challenging. But I think the way they've perceived the game, because normally with like a Dark Souls, it's a rolling mechanic, whilst here it's a timing mechanic as far as parrying your opponents. And I think it's fantastic. If you had to pick up a game right now, 100% play that.
And what's your most anticipated game for the back half of this year and then coming into next year?
You guys are going to laugh at me for saying this, but if they mess it up this time, I'm out. But COD 4 is one of my favorite games of all time. So Modern Warfare, I see Captain Price, and I see everything they're doing. I'm just like, don't mess this up, boys. Don't mess this up. October 25th, I'm waiting for you.
Are you a multiplayer guy or a single player guy?
For this, it's going to be both.
Okay.
I think COD 4, the story is amazing. Black Ops 1, I enjoyed the story as well. But after that, it just kind of slowly trailed off. Just because whenever I get a game now, it's multiplayer because I have to try and record. But just because, Captain Price is my boy, I have to go through and play it 100%.
And then next year, Cyberpunk or Last of Us Part 2? Or something else?
I don't know. Just going to wait and see. I think Cyberpunk, I don't want it to be like No Man's Sky. You know, because No Man's Sky is the perfect example of a game that was so hyped up. It's so vast, it's so crazy, and then you play it and there's nothing there for it.
That's what I'm hoping Death Stranding isn't, because I don't know anything about that.
Death Stranding, I don't think so, though. Just because Death Stranding, I think it has a particular linear storyline to it, where I feel like Cyberpunk 2077 is like more open world-ish.
Yep.
So
hype has been, ever since No Man's Sky, hype has been ruined for me. So I try and keep everything at a low standard and then be pleasantly surprised.
yeah, I mean that was my issue with Fallout 76. Is like everyone's like, oh, and including myself was like, oh my god, this is so amazing. And then when you actually start playing, you're like, there is nothing to do here.
Yep.
You're like, where is everyone?
What now?
Yeah. So hopefully. All right. I think that's it.
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
All right, cool. Well, it's a pleasure for having you on
Thanks
this
for having me
podcast.
on.
Thanks
Yes,
for
sir.
coming
Hell
in.
yeah. Appreciate you guys.
People, what are the next few cities you're going to be in for your tour?
Yes, I've got Los Angeles Friday. I don't know when this is coming out, but I've got Los Angeles Friday, San Diego Saturday, Arizona on Sunday, and then I've got Nashville, Atlanta, and just pretty much everywhere over the next few months. So I would say MiniLadd.net is the place to be to see if I'm coming to a city near you.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
And where else can people find you? Your YouTube channel, Instagram, Twitter?
Everything is MiniLadd, no space 3Ds, MiniLadd. Whether it's YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, I try and keep my branding all the same to make it easier for everyone. So that or the Craig Thompson channel.
Cool.
Yeah.
Dorian?
You guys know where to find me. Twitter, Dorian Parks and Rec, because Parks and Rec is better than The Office. And then you can find me on Instagram at Dorian Parks.
And you guys can find me on Twitter at ThinkHero or Instagram, Dennis.tzng. Make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel, youtube.com/Collider Videos. Also subscribe to our Collider Factory podcast feed, where you find this podcast every single week. Thanks for listening, and see you guys later.
Peace.